Big data versus democracy. Are the political applications of big data unfairly interfering with America's democratic process? I'm Molly Green, and this presentation will explore the possibility that by targeting only a party's most likely voters and ignoring the so-called middle, we may well be undermining our own political infrastructure. So what is big data? Big data can be complex, but its definition is simple. It's data that's collected from a virtually endless string of sources, from census data to Google searches, Facebook activity, and credit card transactions. When analyzed properly, big data enables an entity to know their customer on a detailed and almost intimate level. In the 2016 presidential election, Cambridge Analytica utilized big data mined from Facebook to aid the Trump campaign by using that data to target their most likely voters. The resulting scandal brought awareness of big data out of the boardroom and into the living rooms of the American people. We watched in real time as Americans collectively realized that big data was more than just a clever way to link our internet search history with Facebook ads. Whistleblower Christopher Wiley, a former employee of Cambridge Analytica, summed up the situation by saying, "We exploited Facebook to harvest millions of people's profiles and built models to exploit what we knew about them and target their inner demons. That was the basis the entire company was built on." In an interview with UK news outlet The Guardian, Wiley further likened the situation to playing with the psychology of an entire nation.
I think that, yes, it was a grossly unethical experiment because you are playing with an entire country, the psychology of an entire country without their consent or awareness. And not only are you playing with the psychology of an entire nation, you're playing with the psychology of an entire nation in the context of the democratic process.
As we can see from this animated graph of Congress's ideological differences, American politics have become increasingly polarized over the years. At this point, it's hard not to take notice. Is big data to blame for the inability of our major political parties to agree on virtually anything? Yes. And no. Let's break it down. Big data is relied upon, both in advertising and in politics, to accurately predict the most effective manner of reaching a target. Then, messaging can be controlled in a manner that places a target within a virtual cocoon, sealing in the good and filtering out the bad. The trouble with this approach is that a democracy relies on informed voters, and in order for voters to be truly informed, they need to be able to both see and consider the big picture. When big data allows the picture to be obscured so that voters are only seeing messages that speak to them, they're missing out on part of the story. This isn't just a Facebook problem, it's a media problem in general. We particularly see the phenomenon on outlets like Fox News and the Huffington Post, where political messaging is crafted to cater to their target audience of far-right or far-left voters. Their content essentially alienates everyone in the middle. If we picture the American political structure as a Venn diagram, it's clear why it's easier for campaigns to ignore the middle. Frankly, they're just not as important for the win. As long as a campaign can get their non-middle voters to the polls, they can win. The result is a gaping hole right in the middle where there should be some unity. A government made up of elected officials who serve only their supporters rather than their full constituency. That sounds worrisome, but it's important to remember that big data is not foolproof. Big data simply provides campaigns with the equivalent of a hypothesis, an educated guess at who their target is. Any scientist will tell you that a hypothesis is not a fact until it's been proven. Albert Einstein said, "As far as the laws of mathematics refer to reality, they are not certain, and as far as they are certain, they do not refer to reality." The reality is that the scope of big data is so immense and diverse that there's no way to make use of it all when you're analyzing a prospect. That makes big data somewhat unpredictable and unstable. French political consultant Igor Lys sums it up nicely with the explanation that there are elements of the world so sensitive to initial conditions that we are technologically incapable of integrating them all into our calculations. At this stage, it's undeniable that big data is playing an important part in American politics. There are even signs that its involvement is contributing to the growing chasm between our controlling parties. Still, it's difficult to say that big data is exclusively to blame. Now, more than ever, it's important for American voters to ensure that when we vote, we're doing our part to be aware, informed, and responsible with our votes.